Welcome to iGaming Player Podcast. My name is Roger Gross, and we're sitting here with Zane Grothe, the championship swimmer from Boulder City, Nevada. He's swum for Team USA for many years, and he's recently retired to move on with the rest of his life. But he's going to give us some guidelines on how the swimming team in the U.S. is ready to go this year. Zane, thanks for joining us today.
Hi, Roger. Thanks for having me.
So let's start with how you got into swimming. You dedicated most of your life to it. So what really got you interested in it when you were a child?
I knew I was I was a swimmer before I knew what that was. I was born into a family that had a boat
Yeah,
and being out on Lake Mead. And so next thing I knew, I was, bobbing up and down as a toddler, learning how to, survive being in the water and water safety training. And then before that, or not long after that, I was taking the lessons, the novice lessons at Boulder
sure.
City Pool, and then I was on the Parks and Rec team,
Yep,
and the rest is history. Did that
yep,
until I was 18 and kept on going.
sure. Well, you swam for Boulder City High School. Was there any special coaches there that really encouraged you?
Yeah, absolutely. Sarah Carroll has been there for years, and
Right.
I think she's still there. She's
She's a legend.
amazing. She really helps define what one of the foundations of sports should be, and that is having fun. Whether it was practices, meets, or team meetings, you name it. Like she really made it fun, made it more than just the competitive side of swimming, and that's what helps that team grow.
Sure, no question. And Boulder City High School is almost a power in the swimming world in Nevada. So you came out of a good program there for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you recall what was your most important moment when you're swimming for the high school?
There were a couple moments. I remember seeing a regional record get broken. I think it was my junior year. And as
Uh,
soon as it got broken, I said, I want that record.
yeah,
I think the record holder used to be from Boulder City High School,
right.
and it got picked up by someone out in Las Vegas. And as soon
Uh,
as it got picked up, I said, I want that back with
yeah,
Boulder City High School. And so I kind of dwelled on it for about 9, 10 months. And then, obviously training full time as well. But we got about 2 or 3 months out, and that's when I started really focusing in on it. I started
sure.
hitting all my details. I really zeroed in. I said, I'm going to get that record. I think it was the 100 butterfly. The record was 50.1. And I said, no, I'm not just going to get that record. I'm going to take it under 50 seconds. I'm going to do
Really?
it. And I did. I did. I went like 49.9 or
Yeah,
49.8. And that was really important as a stepping stone in my career because it kind of opened my eyes and said, wow, like I really went for that and I got it. And it inspired me and it really motivated me moving forward, going into college and even my professional career, thinking like if you really set your mind to it, it's going to take a while before you get stopped.
sure, no question. So yeah, that wasn't the first time you represented your country on the international stage. You also represented your city when you're swimming for the Boulder City team. How does that feel when you actually feel like you're representing like a whole country or whole city that everybody's rooting for you?
Yeah, I mean, it feels natural to be representing Boulder City.
Yeah,
I bounced around a couple different club teams in the beginning of my professional career
right,
until I got kind of comfortable with, what I was representing and how I was doing that.
right.
So for the last few years of my career, I represented Boulder City Henderson again. I wore the BCH cap
Yep,
at all my meets domestically, and that was a lot of fun. It's definitely a different experience when you swim international
right,
and you represent the United States because on one hand, it's just another swim meet. You got to focus on it like that and show up and ready to perform and just race whoever else is out there.
right,
But then you really kind of think about it and you realize like, hey, if this is like on TV and people are watching, just like you watch the Olympics and so, oh, those are our swimmers, those are
right.
the Americans and stuff. They
Sure,
represent me and everyone else at home. You kind of let that sink into the back of your mind. And you realize like, man, there's a lot of pressure out here. It's
yeah,
not just the swimming performance, but it's how how I present myself on the deck. And, if I'm lucky enough to get to the podium, if I'm
sure.
shaking hands and people are watching
Yeah,
every move and every breath and every step you take. So
yeah,
yeah, it's definitely hard to do it the first time or two with that in the back of your mind until you get comfortable with it. You come home and realize everyone's proud of you regardless. And it
Right.
just makes you realize how much of an honor it is just to be able to experience that in a high
Sure. Yeah.
level.
No question about that. Also, at the end of the career, you swam as a professional swimmer on an interesting league that was put together, and the swimmers were on teams. And explain how that experience went.
Yeah, the International Swim League had 3 seasons. They did in 3 years, 2019, 2020, and 2021. It was birthed from a swim fan who had the financial backing to
Hmm.
create his own league, and swimmers were on board. We understood how much this could not just benefit us, having racing opportunities and a
Right.
financial opportunity, but to grow the sport and
Yeah.
to potentially earn more with representation and viewership and
Yeah.
stuff. So yeah, I raced anywhere from Hungary to the Netherlands, and even some local meets here in the United States for the National Swim League. I swam on a single team, DC Trident, all 3 years, and that was a lot of fun. And what was interesting is how much the swimmers, the athletes themselves, had a hand in crafting the league. I
Yeah.
remember the very first meet, we sat down and they kind of told us the rules and they were talking about MVP points. And we kind of
Yeah.
were like, hey, that doesn't really add up. Whoever swims these races is going to win MVP every time. And they're like, no, it doesn't work that way. And we kind of erupted as athletes. We're like, no, that's like how it's going to work. We understand this. And they're like,
Yeah.
okay, then let's change the rules. And we
Yeah.
did. It's almost like we redrafted the legislation. We're like, okay, let's get it right before we get started. And every year we gave them feedback and say, hey, like if the teams don't change, then how are we going to make that exciting? And sure
Right.
enough, by the second season, we had a new draft
Hmm.
picking in athletes and keeping roster spots and stuff. And so that was a really exciting time in the sport to be able to have such a hands-on experience with the sport, as well as
Yeah.
having the experiences of just racing internationally on a meet that was just it was like every weekend, but it was like an end of the season kind of experience with the lights
Sure.
and music and
Yeah.
the competition level. So I mean, there was nothing like it.
Yeah, it was great to be able to see you swimming on TV. It was few and far between, but I saw you a few times, and that was exciting to see you.
Yeah, yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Great. So let's talk about the upcoming Olympics in Paris. You could have gone to the qualifying meets in Indianapolis, which I thought was fascinating in the stadium there. First time I think they've ever done that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But you decided to pass it up. Why did you decide that?
Yeah, there was a whole handful of reasons why I did not go to my fifth Olympic trials.
Hmm.
It was a hard decision, I
Right.
did all four Olympic trials that were hosted in Omaha in kind of a multi-purpose stadium. But this is the first time they've ever done a football stadium. Tickets sell out real quick, so it made sense that they needed the room and we're ready
Right.
for that kind of revenue in that venue. But I think first and foremost was my best shot at making the Olympic team was probably 2016.
Yeah.
I just missed out again in 2021, 5 years later. It was hard to go from my peak at 24 years old to have
Right.
to wait 5 years and on the verge of my 30th birthday, racing
Right.
kids 10 years younger than me, trying to
Yeah.
make the team. So to ask myself to go another 3 more years was, it was a lot.
Right.
I was really proud of the time I went at the US Nationals last year, which
Hmm.
qualified me for the Pan American Games team
Right.
in the tuner freestyle. And that time ranked me 16th in the United States.
Yeah.
So even with how proud I was going the second fastest time in my career, I'd be fighting just to get into the semifinal and fighting
Right.
just to get into the final, regardless of trying to make top five or top six to get onto that relay. So I knew spending a whole nother year training for just the possibility of getting in the final was a tough ask. And
Right.
then on top of that, it was everything else that was going on in my life outside of that.
Sure.
I just finished my master's degree in
Hmm.
engineering, which took 3 years to get through. I graduated with that in December. And I just recently got married last year. And it was just a good time, to say, hey, I'm not making any money with swimming
Right.
anymore. I'm swimming for pride, which
Right.
was a good motivator to get me on that Pan American Games team. It wasn't enough to go a whole nother year
Yeah.
just to almost be a participant at the trials.
Yeah.
So between getting the new degree, entering into marriage and realizing my chances of making that team were, slim to none.
Right.
It was definitely time to start my life outside of the swimming world, being married and being an engineer.
Yeah, no question. And it is a young man's sport, I would imagine.
Absolutely. I think the average age of the men's Olympic team is usually somewhere between 24, 25 years old.
Yeah, yeah, no question. Unless you're Michael Phelps, though, I guess.
There's always those exceptions to the rule.
That's for sure. Yeah. So you're still very connected to USA Swimming, and I'm sure you know a lot of the people who are swimming. This year's men's team. Carlo Dressel seems to be the top name right now, but Chris Giuliano, he's swimming in the most of the meet events. What's your impression of those two swimmers?
I'm really excited for both of them.
Yeah,
I'm good friends with Caleb, and it's been really great to see him on the comeback train.
yeah,
And not just with the way he's performing, knowing how much time he took off. It's
right,
seeing his face when he hits the water, even before he gets on the blocks. He's got a
yeah,
smile on. He's really enjoying it. And coming from the perspective of someone who, has dedicated their life, the first 30 years of their life to that sport,
right,
how devastating it can be when you don't get what you're looking for
right,
or the pressure that's put on you. It's so refreshing to see someone really enjoy themselves this far into their career. So
right,
it's great to see that. And Chris Giuliano, I mean, it's so exciting to see someone who's still in college really starting to hit their stride. And
mhm,
you almost see the look on his face on his races too. And he was like, "Wow, I went for it and I got it."
yeah,
And it's exciting for anyone.
yeah, for sure.
I think both those guys are really going to be names to watch in
Yeah,
Paris. Chris has got the advantage with the fact that it's all new to him. It's just
right,
he's in that spot where if he wants it, he'll get it done, and
right,
that's exciting for him. Caleb, on the other hand, has the advantage of the experience. He's
right,
been to the Olympics many times. He's been to World Championships. He's been the top dog with the target on his back. Nothing is going to phase this guy as long
right.
as he's relaxed and well prepared. He's
Mhm.
going to be tough to beat too.
Okay. Who are some of the other male swimmers that you think are gonna do well in the Olympics on the
Yeah.
USA team?
Yeah, obviously we could go down the veterans like Chase Kalich. Chase has been many times. He's a world champion, Olympic champion. I think it's going to be another good year for Chase.
Hmm.
I think he's got one event this time, and
Yeah,
he's usually swimming at least two. He could swim. He's the guy who swims in season 5 or 6 races, but for him to just focus on his best race, I think that's going to be a huge advantage for him
yeah,
coming in as a veteran. Um, Kieran Smith now in his second Olympics. He's been through the ringer of all USA meets, starting with the Olympics in 2021 and coming through back now as a second time Olympian. He's definitely gonna be one to watch too. He was a medalist in
mhm,
21. I think he's got just as much on his plate for that 400 freestyle and the relay.
great.
And then the final one that I'd say is another veteran. Actually, there'd be two more, but one more veteran, Nick Fink.
Yeah,
Nick's almost as old as I am,
mhm,
and I don't understand how he's aging like fine wine. He's just getting better and
yeah,
better. But he was another engineer from the SEC that I saw him with, and it's great to see him doing well
yeah,
as well.
sure.
He's also somehow at the peak of his career at this age, and I expect him to have at least one medal out of
Yeah,
this performance.
okay.
And then last but not least, in my favorite races, my best races, Bobby Fink, he's chasing world records
Yeah,
with his ability. So a two-time Olympic gold medalist, I think at least a two-time world champion as well, and just missing a world record in the 1500. I would not be surprised if Bobby wins gold and breaks the world record in the 1500.
great, great. And how about the women's team? Everybody knows that Katie Ledecky. I mean, she's a legend. She seems to be a wonderful person. What other women swimmers do you think are going to make an impact this year?
Yeah, Katie's an easy pick, and you were spot on. She's such a nice person. It doesn't matter how good she is or what kind of fame she has. I mean, she really gives anyone the time of day to have a conversation and everything. And then, so that's just such an easy person to get behind and root for. One of my former training partners up at Indiana, Lily King. She's fierce. I mean, she just keeps finding a way to get back. I don't know if anyone, maybe Caleb Dressel, but it's hard to find people who, when they want to win and they want to race, they get it done. And it's so exciting to see that. I think she might be on the outside looking in with some of the fresh faces and the new names, but
Yeah.
you can't ever bet against her.
Mhm.
She just is such an aggressor, and she's got that experience now, 2 or 3 times down the road. She's going to be a great pick. Some of the new faces, the Walshes. I know Alex is now in her second Olympics, but it's only been 3 years, and now her sister's on the team and a fresh world record holder at that. The Walsh sisters are going to be great picks for being leaders on the women's side. And then also, if a name stands out to me, it'd be Reagan Smith. I was on the World Championship team in 2017 when Reagan was 15 years old. She
Mhm.
made her first international team and was just a kiddo out there. And she was in that phase where she was just having fun.
Yeah.
And then because it came so early for her, the pressure hit as she got
Yeah.
into late high school and got into college, and it was hard to handle, and you could see her really struggle. But just add another name to the list of the comeback train who's really having fun with it and is absolutely, she's fresh off another world record, and it's great to see that, she's enjoying it, but also the fact that, this wasn't a world record by a slim margin.
Yeah.
She broke 100 by 2/10.
Yeah.
And I think there's more in the tank, so if she's going to be beat, both of them are going to have to go under world record pace to do that.
Great. Great. So how about the competition? Australia always has a really strong swim team. What are some of the other countries that really have some good swimmers that you can point out?
Yeah, you can't ever count out Great Britain. They are notorious for, sneaking in when you least expect it.
Right.
Their athletes I mean, they swim well at trials, but at their Olympic trials, but they always seem to step up at the Olympic Games. So it's easy to let them fly under the radar without
Right.
seeing them coming. So the British team will be good. The French team will be really good.
Yeah.
They've got a leader on the team like Leon Marchand.
Mhm.
I believe he'll be at his first Olympics, but man, he's going to be the one to watch for world records and gold medals. So it's easy to rally behind him, put some relays together as well. And then you've got some more traditional teams like Canada and
Mhm.
Brazil. They've always got great swim teams, and a couple names. If you aren't paying attention,
Yeah.
before you know it, you'll see those countries pop up in the finals and on the podium a handful of times. And so, yeah, they'll definitely be good competition.
And how about one of the Australian names that you can give us? I mean, they have so many great swimmers.
Yeah, let's see. Molly O'Callahan, I think is her name, and Ariane Titmus. Two names that are just already battling for world records. They're going to be tough to beat, the two of them in the tuner freestyle. Let's see, you got you got McCune and Kaylee McCune and Emma McKeon. Um,
Okay.
Both phenomenal sprinters and relay swimmers. Kaylee swims the backstroke races. She's going to be the one going toe to toe with Reagan, and I think Reagan's got the edge in the 100, but
Mhm.
I think Kaylee's got the edge in the 200. So it'll be interesting to see them swim both of those races together back to back, and then also Emma McCune in the sprint races. I mean, she's just so consistent. She really leads those relays for the girls, and so I mean that's going to be really impressive.
Okay, great. So you mentioned Michael Phelps, obviously incredible swimming record. Did you get to know him when you were swimming alongside him?
Personally, I did not get to know him. I
Yeah.
can tell you for a fact that he knows who I am. We've raced
Okay.
at meets together, and
Uh-huh.
we've been shoulder to shoulder at
Yeah.
meets and on the podium before. But I've never met him personally. He was just about stepping down from his career in 2016,
Yeah.
and that was when I just missed my first Olympic team. I made the World Championship team, and the next 4 or 5 years of international teams after that in 2017, moving forward. So well, just a missed connection there. But Yeah, I had the chance in high school to race him, and I remember
Yeah.
the story of him peeking over the bulkhead during my mile swim, and he was like, "Who is this kid?" He was in the podium in the 500 with me, and he's
Yeah.
really tearing it up. You know, he
Yeah.
barely weighs 100 pounds, but he's really tearing it up right now. He's got a career ahead of him. So.
But there's not many swimmers that swim long distance in the sprints anymore, are there?
Yeah, no. A lot of, I colloquially go by a distance swimmer
Yeah.
label, but I've got the ability to swim all the freestyle races. You know, I race all the way up to 5K and 10K in open water. But if you keep it in context that I'm better at distance while looking at my sprint times, you'd be surprised that I could, put down what I could put down. So I like to tell people that I'm not a distance swimmer, I'm a freestyler. I do it all.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So, last question. Any predictions on the number of medals that the U.S. swim team will bring home this year?
That's tough. I would have to look back on the number of medals from last time. But if I had to guess, I think we're going to do better than
Okay.
2021.
Okay.
We had so many veterans drop off the team in 2021 and so many fresh faces. A lot of them are back now for their second Olympics,
Yeah,
and they've been consistent now with, kind of the COVID passing and stuff like that. I do think we're going to do better by at least two or three medals than we did in 2021.
great. Well, Zane, thanks for taking the time to join us, and congratulations on your long and successful career, and giving us some tips on who to look for in this 2024 Olympics in Paris.
Thanks, Roger. I appreciate being here.